are widening, with the US-Israel campaign against Iran entering its sixth day and the conflict expanding well beyond the Gulf. In a dramatic escalation, a US submarine sunk an Iranian warship near Sri Lanka, killing at least 80 people, signaling the theater of conflict is stretching into the wider Indian Ocean. At the same time, NATO air defenses intercepted an Iranian missile headed towards Turkey, marking the first direct spillover into a NATO member's airspace. Meanwhile, Iran's political future remains uncertain. Sources say that Tehran is close to selecting a successor to Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, though a farewell ceremony announced earlier has now been postponed. His son, Mojtaba Khamenei, remains a potential contender, according to the reports. On the maritime front, tensions are rising across Gulf shipping lanes. A tanker near Kuwait reported a suspected attack and explosion, with oil leaking into the water, though all crew remain rather safe. And in Washington, Senate Republicans have blocked an attempt to curb Parliament Donald Trump's war powers, allowing the current military campaign to continue. With strikes intensifying, shipping disrupted and oil markets on the edge, the conflict is now spreading geographically, politically, and economically. Well, let's go across and listen in to Trump and what he has to say about the progress in the region.
Tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was, it was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential.
In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice. Their Navy, not a factor. Pick your adjective, it is no more. In fact, yesterday, in the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department, we are fighting to win. Also, yesterday, the leader of the unit who attempted to assassinate President Trump has been hunted down and killed. Iran tried to kill President Trump, and President Trump got the last laugh.
And Times Network's Srinjoy Chaudhary is now joining us with all the developments that are taking place in the region.
It's almost 5-6 days since the war began, and things are moving very quickly. And with war, you would expect damage, you would expect disaster, and surely this keeps happening. First of all, the Iranians have said that the Straits of Hormuz will be closed. And if it's going to be closed, it will be closed for everybody except the Chinese. That's really a big moment. Because if you're going to close the straits and other tankers from other countries are going to use it, they will be attacked. The Iranians claim they have already hit 10 tankers. Then, of course, there is the matter of an Israeli ballistic missile, an Iranian ballistic missile being aimed at the Turks. It was shot down by NATO, but the fact that the Turks are a new target is important. So far, it's been Israel and countries in the Arabian Peninsula. Now, it's the Turks. Of course, the American bases have been targeted as well. Also, importantly, an Iranian ship has sunk. We don't know exactly how, but it has been sunk just close to Sri Lanka. That means close to India as well. And a lot of people have been injured, and rescue efforts are going on. So, fast-moving events, and we'll have to see what happens now.
And while the US Senate has rejected a war powers resolution that sought to limit Trump's ability to continue military strikes against Iran, meanwhile, Israel said it has launched fresh attacks on Tehran as Washington claims to have destroyed 17 Iranian ships and nearly 2,000 military targets. The conflict is now widening, disrupting regional air travel and energy flows, with at least one LNG tanker reversing course and the price spike.
Secretary Scott Bessent says that the global tariff rate will likely rise to 15% this week, up from the current 10%. The duties are being imposed under Section 122 of the Trade Act after the Supreme Court struck down Trump's tariffs earlier this month. Bessent also expects tariff levels to return to their previous structure within the next 5 months.
Spain has sharply pushed back against Trump's threat to cut off trade after Madrid refused to allow its air bases to be used for strikes on Iran. Prime Minister Sanchez called the US-Israel attack a disaster, warning the world cannot risk repeating the mistakes of the past wars. Trump had earlier threatened a trade embargo on Spain, accusing the NATO ally of blocking military cooperation and failing to meet the 5% defense spending target.
China has reportedly set its 2026 GDP growth target at 4.5%.